Happy holidays from Exorcast.
Ho, 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 ho.
Hey, I'm from Tennessee. We say Merry Christmas down here. Merry Christmas.
Don't you always also say right now?
Well, a lot of people say that down here. Not me, though. I
You
have
didn't.
allergy issues.
You didn't earn that.
Oh, I did. I did because I need this for all the months of hard work previously.
Sure you do.
Yeah. That's a nice little belt, you know. Me and old Grooms. Greatest tag team since the Hart Foundation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Briscoe and
We'll check
Patterson.
with
Briscoe and Patterson.
We'll check with WWE on that one.
Yeah. Well, I might as well get it in the angle here while I can, because who knows how long I'll have it. But,
well, I mean, from what you just said.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the elephant in the room is, since we did the show last time, I had a nasty fall in the shower and I T-boned the tub. So, you know, why would I go to the doctor, right? I mean, I ain't got insurance anyway. So why would I go? So I'm just basically winging it day by day. And so far, the only real issue I got is it hurts when I cough really badly. And, of course, leaning this way kind of hurts on this side. So if any doctors watch this show, by the way, feel free to give me an opinion.
So you fell out of some dude's shower, and you hurt yourself.
And rather than go to the doctor, you decided to stand on the edge of a ring, and
well, you know, that we had to get those belts off of their holders, you know. I was the only person around for the job, but you know,
Process of elimination. Like, oh shit, the only person that's left's Chuck.
Yeah, basically. I imagine that was kind of the reaction, but you know, I don't know what's wrong with Ryan Grooms' shower, but I stood in that shower and I only stood for a minute, and my feet went up in the air, very cartoony like.
If I recall, his current wrestling gimmick would theoretically, depending on how deep he gets into it, possibly involve things like baby oil or shaving cream.
Yeah.
That could theoretically make things slick in there, you know.
And
he wasn't in there with you, right?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. But in the split second that I had to try to figure out what was going on, I tried to grab for the side of the tub and just went plumb over it and just T-boned it. And it's one of them old ones too, so it was a flat surface, which is probably good, I guess. You know, I sat there for a minute trying to figure out what was broke, if anything was sticking out or anything like that. Sat there Indian style naked for a few minutes. Of course, he heard the fall, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I could barely talk at the time. I was like, "I think I'm okay." So yeah, I got called life alert for about the first hour I was at the wrestling show.
That's good.
Life alert?
Yeah.
Oh, you got called. I get you now.
Yeah, they called me life alert.
I get you.
Because he fell and couldn't get up.
I got it.
But it's the Christmas season. It's Hanukkah. It's whatever else happens around this time of year.
And because we are too goddamn busy and too goddamn tired to do what we originally planned, instead of doing the whole franchise, we're cutting it down a little bit.
We're doing the one that nobody would do. We're doing the remake.
Pretty sure it's already been reviewed on the show once before.
I'm not so sure about that.
I have no recognition of this.
I also like the fact that Chuck's bucking the trend here. I mean, two of us here are wearing Silent Night, Deadly Night shirts.
Well, one of us don't have one. But I do have my heating pad going all the way up to high while I'm sitting. So.
I guess that's
great. Well, I mean, if anybody would like to give me a Silent Night, Deadly Night shirt, I'm sure we can rearrange that.
Oh, they sell them everywhere. You just have to have the money for them.
Oh, yeah. What's that? What is money? I have to wait for that stimulus check to arrive that everybody wants to tell me to shut up over.
Supposedly, just so you know, and this will probably be outdated forever and a day from now, there's rumblings you might get one soon.
And it might be approved on Friday. 600 bones, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a man can do a little bit of damage to 600 bones, you know.
But not falling in the shower damage.
No, that's but that if I went to the emergency room, all of that would have been took. Nothing sticking out. We're good to go. As long as no bone is popped in my kidneys right now, we're all ready for Exorcast.
Incidentally, this is a plug for the lovely Splendor and Riches collection on the Mondo website. This is the Sanguine variant. Celebrate your holidays with the Grim Reaper, like we all should.
That's Mondo, Chuck.
It's Monday.
Yes.
We don't get paid to sponsor Mondo. That was a free plug for them.
Episode 38 of Exorcast, Silent Night.
Yeah, that's not long ago at all.
I'm just saying.
I know, just saying. Not to mention, I don't think any of us are wearing corpse paint right now, so.
I have it. I have the old Anchor Bay Blu-ray right here.
As do I.
I just don't know where mine's at.
Bought mine for the low price of like $7 at McKay's. Because when they sent me the review copy, they only sent me the DVD back in the day, so I had to buy it.
Yes, all of us had to buy our copies, and just like that cup, I bought that sucker too because no one gives a shit. You kidding me?
Same director as the I Spit on Your Grave remake, by the way.
No. Hell
yeah?
No. No way. No.
This is Stephen Miller.
Stephen C. Miller.
C. Miller. The C there. I am well acquainted with Stephen C. Miller. It is not the same guy.
Are you kidding? Are you sure?
Positive. He directed Automaton Transfusion, Scream of the Banshee for that After Dark series.
Yeah, it was also put out on Sci-Fi Channel, and you can tell, but it's better than you think it is.
There's two Stephen Millers.
There's a Stephen Miller and a Stephen C. Miller.
Yes.
So this is the transfusion guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if he ain't
he didn't direct that
grave guy, then he's automatically losing some clout with me because I thought it was the same guy.
Yeah, he did Automaton Transfusion, which was part of Dimension Extreme.
Yeah.
Then he did Scream of the Banshee, which I reviewed long ago back in the day. And for a Sci-Fi Channel movie, it ain't bad. It's got Lance Henriksen in it and some good practical shit. And he also reviewed something no one ever talks about. It's a movie called The Aggression Scale. I reviewed that too. That's actually a really good movie. I know W watched Dial Code Santa Claus this past weekend as we were recording it for the first time. And I'd say they share a little bit of DNA, considering that one's about two kids having to fight back against Derek Mears and another guy playing like assailants. It's actually really good, I think.
I don't think I have the aggression scale any longer. I did have it though.
Like this guy was supposed to be like the next big horror director, and then it just kind of didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, mostly he's become an action director. He did Escape Plan 2, Hades.
I think he did the first Escape Plan, didn't he?
He did not.
Oh.
He is the director of Escape Plan 2 only. Also Marauders and Line of Duty and Arsenal and other such action-related names. Yeah, First Kill.
Where's part 2 of that transfusion movie that he promised us 10 years ago or 20 years ago, however long it was?
14, actually. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he had some good hits in a row for me, so I was, when I found out he was doing it, I'm like, sure, fuck, why not?
I'm friends with him on Facebook. You know, my interaction with him was in this movie. Well, I think so. Steve Miller, one of them. But I believe it's this on Twitter at least. I mentioned CGI in this movie, and I think he tried to tell me there was no CGI in parts of this movie, but there was.
There's a little.
I think he was trying to argue that there wasn't in the antler scene, which I feel like there was.
I would disagree on that, at least from seeing it.
Yeah.
But. I Spit on Your Grave remake was directed by Stephen R. Monroe. Chuck.
Oh. Who the hell is that?
I have no idea. I'm just letting you know since you asked.
You should know.
I went my whole life thinking it was Stephen Miller.
And not Stephen C. Miller.
And definitely not Stephen R. Monroe.
Yeah, well, I had the first name, right?
And the first initial of the second name.
I don't get paid to keep up with this stuff.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a Santa Claus killing people here, as you would expect. A remake that is more of a reimagining, I guess you could say. We keep a few elements of the original movie here and there. Somebody randomly says Garbage Day, but outside of that, it's kind of its own thing, really.
I legit don't remember that at all, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when the cop or deputy's taking the garbage out, he asks if it's garbage day. So
that's probably the least blatant one that there is in the movie.
Yeah.
There's a few others that are a little more blatant, correct?
You guys go on with what you want to say here. Maybe you'll get a better explanation of the plot, but and then I'll just chime in with my opinion of this movie, which I think I liked it better years ago when it first came out than I did this time.
Okay.
Yep.
Chuck. So, small town. It's Christmas, and they celebrate the hell out of Santa Claus. They have like 450 people, I think they say, dress up for a Santa Claus contest every year, and they have a big parade. Excuse me. So Malcolm McDowell is the chief of police, and there are two deputies. One, I don't know who he is. The other one's played by Jamie King.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I always get her confused with a different Jamie, but they look nothing alike. That's okay.
I think
Moving
if
on.
you're talking about the one who was in My Name Is Earl.
Yeah.
So do I.
That's Jamie Presley. That's
Jamie Presley, and they don't look anything alike.
I get them confused all the time too.
Jamie Presley from Poison Ivy too. This one is, I believe, from the remake of My Bloody Valentine, right?
Yes.
And Sin City.
Yes.
Yeah, Chuck's got some things right this time.
Yes.
Yeah. Some things. Michael McDowell, of course.
Merry Christmas.
Clockwork Orange, and then all kinds of other, I Need Money movies that he's done like this.
Well, if you ever watched him at a convention, I mean, they're I Need Money movies, but at the same time, he takes them because he wants to just have a fucking ball with them. I mean, for God's sakes, how do you explain Tank Girl otherwise?
I have a grudge with him for
hey, Tank Girl's
trail,
good.
But
I know, but I'm saying the performance he gives and the role he takes. He took it because, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to blame him or we need to blame Rob Zombie for Halloween, but we'll digress with that one.
Rob Zombie, he didn't write it.
Or direct it.
Oh, yeah.
You think somebody actually directed him in this movie? I feel like they was just like, hey.
Well, you're already talking to Stephen R. Monroe on Twitter. Why don't you ask him?
I was talking to Steve Miller, who's
yeah, I know, Chuck. I know.
But yeah, I mean, he just seemed like he was just walking through this one.
Anyway.
There's a Santa Claus in town. A lot of red herrings. He's killing people that are being naughty. And he's not discriminating against men, women, and children. Going at it has nothing. It's nothing like the original film.
I mean, this is a movie that 15 minutes in has a, 14, 15-year-old kid get killed?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
That bitch deserved it.
Oh, yeah, I don't deny that at all.
They go out their way to ham it up. They ham it up so nobody will care, If they wanted to have any real guts. If they wanted to have any real guts, they'd have had a kid that didn't deserve it get it done to him.
But the whole point of the movie, Chuck, is that he is killing
our discussion
naughty
of this
people.
After the plot here, Chuck.
Yeah.
Before we continue jumping out of the plot, let's finish the plot.
So, Santa Claus going on a killing spree. Bodies are piling up. They know that it's someone dressed in a Santa costume, and the guy is fairly large based on his bloody boot prints. But that doesn't really narrow it down in this town where there's 450 people dressed up as Santa Claus. So Jamie King's character, don't know off the top of my head, is pretty much the person that's tracking him down. Malcolm McDowell is very arrogant and thinks he's like a super cop, but he's old and he just has a bunch of cop one-liners. And the other cop is an idiot.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's about it, yeah.
And so basically, Deputy Jamie King goes hunting around to try and find the killer, and the killer just keeps finding his way into killing more and more horrible people.
I don't think anybody in this movie wanted to be in this movie. I don't feel like we get a good performance from anybody.
I'm just going to let you go for a while, because I figure you have a lot you want to say here. Because I got plenty to say too, but I think you want the time here. So
this movie has some of the worst dialogue ever. And then sometimes they just they'll borrow from the previous movie, but they don't do it nowhere near half as good. Like the grandpa in this one.
I like the grandpa in this one. It's not the
crap.
same. It's not the same, but it's not supposed to be, Chuck. Why
But
would
it's
they do
not.
the exact same thing, though?
See, we're
But
having a
it's
discussion
not
here right
good.
now. You're in my position last week with Castle Freak. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in W's position from last week here.
You could
And so-
always you could borrow on things, but change things just enough to where it's different. They go a different route here, but they go on a route that's terrible because you have like the generic Jay from Jay and Silent Bob standing around there, and he's taking his grandpa's money out of his wallet.
To be honest, he is a better Jay than their real Jay from Jay and
But
Silent Bob.
if Grandpa's been comatose for years, hadn't talked, why does he even have money in his wallet?
That's a good point, and that's something that I brought up to Morgan. Still, do you, do you,
Yeah.
do you
Bit of a
need
nitpick.
do you need complete like do you need all of your movies to like make 100% like sense?
It's a bit of a nitpick, Chuck. I don't disagree
Yeah.
with your point, but it's a bit of a nitpick.
Well, I mean, what do? Hey, let's put a little money in his wallet in case he decides he wakes up and wants Coke or something, right? Let's just do that. And then Malcolm McDowell, I don't know what they paid him, but it's too much, whatever they paid him in this movie, because he's just everything he says is just it's theater, it's theatrics, it's hamming it up. I think he's like, I'm in a bad movie, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just say whatever I feel like saying.
I have to
I feel like
disagree.
that's what he's doing.
Same
I
here.
think Jamie King is terrible here. I've seen her good. I've seen her when she cares. She didn't care about this movie. They try to make you feel some sympathy for her, but they never really diverge enough into it to make you really care. Like what her dad is, she's afraid she's not going to be the cop that she's meant to be, and she's afraid that she's not going to be able to do, enough to make her dad proud. And her dad, boy, ain't he somebody you want to impress. He's the fat guy that's sitting on the parade sled. You know what I mean? So,
He's
best
the
thing-
number one Santa, Chuck. That's the point.
He's the number one Santa.
Have you been the number one out of 450 something?
Well, I've never tried to be the number one Santa,
Maybe you should.
But yeah, but like this movie's got two things going for it. It's got a really good-looking girl running around naked that ends up with a pretty good death. Like the kills, I'll say some of the kills are good. That's the only thing this movie's got going for it. It's the kill, especially the axe kill. My only explanation for the movie being the way it is that they want you to hate these people so much that you just cheer when they die. And that's the only explanation I have for why the characters are like they are.
I
am legitimately having an out-of-body experience from last week.
Isn't that legitimately though like every slasher film from this time period?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but that doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it good. I mean, what is this? What year is this? 2009?
12.
2009, 2012. Well, I have to hop in my time machine in 2012 because I don't remember all the slashers come out around that time.
There was a movie called Morbid. It didn't come out in that time, but there weren't any likable characters in it.
It was being filmed when this was going on.
No likable characters in it.
Give me this budget, and let me have professional actors like this movie was supposed to have, and then we'll be talking about a different movie.
I think we're about to be talking about a different movie as soon as we start talking about it.
No, it's just like this here had good kills. That's all it had to it. Everything it did that played homage to a real, the good movie.
What it played to it?
Homage.
Homage.
I believe he said ho ho homage.
Homage, yeah, whatever. Like the antler scene, they give the girl that comes out after you kill people, give her a present scene. None of that was as good as it was in the first movie. The good movie. One of my favorite slasher movies of all time, by the way. Maybe that's why I'm so hard on this one.
I was gonna say, is that why you don't like this one?
That's probably honestly why you're so hard on this one.
I love Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I do too.
I really like this movie.
Me too.
I mean, I'm not sure it's a good idea to completely bypass the whole Billy backstory. You don't have Billy and you don't have all the other stuff. No Mother Superior here.
But that again raises a question here. As an example, I like the Wizard of Gore remake. I like the Thing remake. I like, oh God, what was that one? The Fly remake.
Everybody liked that.
No.
Cheating.
I know what you're gonna say. No. But all of those have one thing in common, which is they take the original Thing and then they go in a different direction. Like you might have Montag the Magnificent in, Wizard of Gore, but they go in a different direction with it. You can make an argument that part of the problem with my biggest issue with the Halloween remake, I liked as stupid and over cursy and Rob Zombie the first half of the remake is, I actually was into it until he started actively remaking Halloween and doing it shot for shot. Because when he was doing his own shit, yeah, he was calling it Halloween, but he was doing his own shit. Like with this, I didn't mind that you didn't have a Billy backstory because it was evident he was trying, for the most part, to do his own shit. I don't disagree with you that some of the wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the original movie was unnecessary. I liked the scene with the grandpa, but I also think it was unnecessary. Like I loved their version of the scene where he gives the gift to the child. I really liked that scene. I liked the fact that the movie was smart enough to have him use a variety of weapons, but to also have him mostly use an axe, just like the original movie did. Not that those all needed to be there, but the way they handled them made sense. And the world it sets up, you don't need Billy or the Mother Superior because it gives its own story for its person, basically. And
That's a
in
pretty
that
good one.
way, and that and in that way, it works well. I'm not going to say it works better because that's part of the issue. Is I think the original movie is trying to do something completely different. I told my wife afterwards. I said when people picketed the streets, supposedly, and theaters for the first movie, I don't understand why they did. Because the movie gives you a backstory for Billy in the first movie. You understand why he becomes Santa. You also understand he's not fucking Santa. So if you're all, oh, it's Santa's killing people, you understand in the first movie he's not fucking Santa. This is a movie where you have a character who is made abundantly clear to be a sexually deviant priest who gives a 5-minute, maybe I'm overstating that part, long fire and brimstone diatribe against sin, and then the Santa, who at this point has no backstory, brutally kills him in the middle of a church. I could understand maybe picketing that shit if they were picketing it for the reasons they did, because it's a different kind of idea,
Well, the reason they picketed the original is because they didn't want children to see Santa Claus killing people. Those
Right.
children would never be able to watch the movie, but seeing
Correct.
said poster and Santa with a bloody axe going down your Christmas tree could be traumatizing to children.
Sure. But
I mean,
again,
that's
like,
why they were picketing it.
yes, which we could get into a whole discussion for hours about the fact that people are fucking stupid. But but I'm just saying, like, in terms of it, that's kind of core and part and parcel. The first Silent Night, Deadly Night, yeah, the Mother Superior is the Mother Superior, but like, it's not like beating you over the head with the fact that most of these people are bad. It's mostly Billy's story, and in that way, you're following Billy. You have more sympathy for Billy because you've been with him for 30-40 minutes of the movie. This is different. One of my biggest issues with the movie, and it is a huge nitpick, I really wish the last scene wasn't there. And the reason why is this whole movie, because it wasn't to that point yet, I got a real Jason vibe to this. This big hulking thing with no face, basically. Jason had a backstory, sure, but eventually he was just Jason. He's walking around killing people. It doesn't matter really his backstory. He's just walking around killing people. In this one, I felt like you have a ready-made 6-foot, 7-foot tall guy in 13 size boots just wandering around killing people with no method, no madness other than they're naughty and he's Santa. You could have probably even made a franchise out of this remake if you really wanted to, although that would have taken a lot of different ideas to make a lot of Christmas movies.
Sure.
But it didn't get one, so that should tell you what most people probably thought of this. But
I don't think they were trying for one, to be honest. That's
you
why
can't compare this. I don't want to compare this to The Thing, okay? Because there's a big difference in The Thing from Another
I'm
World.
not comparing it to it. I'm just saying that they were doing a different thing from the first movie.
But the best remakes in the history of remakes, more true remakes, because there's some liberties took in The Thing from Another World or whatever, and The Thing and all that stuff. But now, The Hills Have Eyes, I Spit on Your Grave, even
you could disagree on the
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake to an extent. Those are really good remakes in my opinion that don't stray too far away from the original stories, but in some cases are the previous movie just on steroids. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we should have stayed more truer to the story. Although they changed the complete title of this. I mean, it's not like it's Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's just Silent Night, which that should tell you what you want to know there when they took the rest of it off
But
for whatever
everybody
reason.
knew it was a remake. When
Yeah,
it was coming out, everybody knew it was a remake. They didn't need to have the other title. They could say it wasn't that. I mean,
yeah, but that right there tells you something because they should have fought for that. You know what I mean?
did they really fight for it? Maybe it was always called Silent Night.
I think it originally was called Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then they took that off.
I mean,
I think you're just making that up to
whether or
prove a
not,
point.
I can't speak to that for the
Now,
record
look,
because I will say one thing:
Google
is
it.
the
Google
Blu-ray
it.
sucks. I will say the Blu-ray sucks in terms of special features because all you get on it is a 7-minute featurette that is called Behind the Scenes, and it is literally just 5 to 7 minutes of them filming the movie. There's
Now,
no interviews, no
remember,
discussion, no commentary, no nothing.
You got to remember, this was the heyday of when I gave a darn about this PR stuff and all this. And when this was announced, it was announced that they were doing Silent Night, Deadly Night remake. And then right before the Blu-ray came out, when the PR went out, it got changed to Silent Night for some reason.
W is double checking you right now. I can tell.
So really, all you have here, besides the Killer Santa Claus and a few stray references to the other movies, this is not nothing to do with the other one, other than you have a Santa Claus killing people. And for that matter, you could have called this Christmas Evil. For that amount, it probably had just that much to do with it.
Again, both the movies you're referring to, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Christmas Evil, you spend a significant amount of time getting to know the guy who's going to be your Santa. This movie is not trying to do that.
Jason Voorhees is. You talk about Jason. We know who Jason is.
Yes,
we have a
but
whole movie before part 2 telling us who Jason is.
You don't spend 20 to 30 minutes walking around with Jason before he puts a mask on. Like Halloween, the remake. Now, again, I don't like Halloween, the remake, but the thing Rob Zombie did that was smart was spend 45 minutes with not Michael Myers in a shape mask.
Well, we have 2 minutes with this guy shaving his face in the bathroom when the movie starts off.
Which is why it's different from the first one.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it works.
Beyond that, Jamie King, I think, is really good in this. I think she sells trauma pretty well that's in her backstory of the character. I also think that while I don't necessarily think Malcolm McDowell is great in this movie, I think he had lines, and I also think they basically told him to do whatever he wanted with those lines. So you're right, he's very much Malcolm McDowelling this movie, so to speak. I mean, he doesn't give one chicken fried fuck what you think of his performance, basically. I mean, it is what it is. But I do think that works. I do think that works for this movie. Like, that works for his character, basically, in this movie.
Wow.
I think it absolutely works, and he's just. I mean, you've seen tons of cops act like that in shows and movies anyway. He's the old asshole cop, and he thinks he's something more than he actually is. He's probably never been in a gunfight, and he thinks he's a badass, and he throws out one-liners, and he's watched a ton of cop movies, and that's what he thinks he is. That's why he says the things that he does, and it's just Malcolm McDowell doing it.
In terms of
use a different take in some of those.
For the record, have you watched anybody besides me watch the deleted scenes?
I don't know where my Blu-ray is.
There's like 4 or 5 minutes of them. They're not super important. It's a little bit more of them looking for Santas on the street when they're trying to like round up Santas to investigate. It's a little bit more of before she goes to work that morning. Nothing super important to the plot. Nothing like really death-defyingly necessary. Good things to have cut.
It's even snowing in this movie.
It's on the ground.
How do they go to the city? Like they go to like the porn part of town where they're shooting porn movies, you know.
About that, the effects are really good. All of the effects are pretty good. There are a couple of them that are a little hokey, like the moment where the naked woman jumps out the window. That was a weird shot. And also, you mentioned the 14-year-old. I like the fact that the movie went there. I don't like that the movie decided to do this the whole time during it.
We're also in that time period where you want to make everything look blue.
Yeah, that's day for night, though. Mostly. I mean, there was a bit of that as well, like that they went for a blue color palette, but I feel like sometimes there were day for night shots. But yeah, that is a thing about the movie. I'm not going to deny that at all. I think, actually, one thing you said you liked, This came out in 2012. Let me see. The remake of My Bloody Valentine came out in 2009, 3 years prior. I didn't love the naked chase scene in that movie, but it did it better than this one did.
Yeah, that was a
It was more.
theatrical.
It was more
that was
necessary in
actual,
this one.
That was
I
actual
don't remember a
theatrically
naked
released
chase
movie,
scene in
It's
My Bloody
there.
Valentine.
From
It's
the
there.
hotel scene.
It's full frontal. Even this one isn't even that far.
I
But
remember the hotel, but I don't remember.
But anyway, what I'm saying
Whatever.
is like that
That movie had
it was
Tom
an
Atkins going
unnecessary
for it, and that
event.
was it.
Yes, it did. It was a good movie, but I mean, not great. It's fine. But yeah, that movie, like that scene was gratuitous, but it didn't feel like overbearingly so. There's no fucking reason for this movie to have a 3-minute, 4-minute long chase sequence between a topless woman where she runs through 4 different rooms, jumps out a window, ends up in a Christmas tree farm. I mean, the kill at the end is great. I'm not denying that, but like you could have trimmed that a bit. But otherwise, like all the kills are great. Like I said, I love the riff on everything else. I think the simplicity is kind of getting to what I'm talking about with them making it basically he could have been a Jason, which is you don't have a motive. His motive is he thinks he's basically Santa. And so the movie goes out of its way intentionally to make everybody you initially see him kill horrible fucking people.
Mhm.
That's the point. Like,
but not in a good way.
see,
I think like stuff like Friday the 13th, everybody that's killed, you don't really care for them, but at least they have personality to the characters, right?
I
These
mean,
people here, I feel like we're Rob Zombie light in a lot of areas here with a whole lot less language.
Well,
I don't
in a Friday the
disagree.
13th film, you've got 30 minutes of really nothing going on but characters
Yeah,
talking, and
yeah.
then 15 minutes of them all dying, where this scatters it out all over the film.
And also, most every character who dies probably has a total each of like 5 minutes of screen time tops before most of the majority of the major stuff happens. You know, any character who dies in this movie, and again, depending on the movie, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it works here, but it wouldn't work in another movie, which is a lot of the people who die in this movie are quite literally cannon fodder. Like they have no bearing on the plot. You know, they're just there. They may have a total of 2 minutes of screen time tops, each one of them, and then they die. But the movie has already let you know they're shitty people for some reason. Watch them die. And given what they're trying to do in terms of the fact that the story really isn't about anything other than them trying to find him, it's kind of okay that they don't matter, basically, in that regard. Not every movie can do that, but I felt like this one could.
I mean, we gotta make more time for the bald Santa guy, you know, and then the Santa guy that doesn't like anybody. Who's he now? I've seen him in other
Donald
stuff.
Logue. Donald
He's
Logue, he's in a
awesome.
bunch of stuff.
I've
I
seen
like
him
him.
in a lot of stuff.
And he was great
I
in
like
this.
I like Donald
Yeah.
Logue, but I will say the bald Santa's a little unnecessary. He serves
Yeah.
a great purpose in terms of storytelling, but I do agree he's a bit unnecessary.
We could have gave her moment with the Santa Claus actually in this movie, you know, but the main one without, you know, oh, she's got to finally, you know, she can't panic. She's got to do the right thing at the right time. Well, why couldn't she just do that with the main bad guy instead of wasting on this bald dude?
But this is a slasher movie, Chuck, that never ends the way it's supposed to. You know,
Yeah,
the
well,
point where the movie goes, here's the ending, is never the ending.
yeah. Well, I mean, like it seemed like it gave her big moment when it didn't really matter.
It's kind of we haven't reviewed it on here obviously, but you've seen Behind the Mask. He talks about the moment where the killer where the final girl has to go through this change where, you know, there's something that happens, and after she comes out of it, she's a bigger
reborn,
person.
right?
Reborn, yeah. That's what that was, basically.
Yeah.
Like, that's why basically when she fights him at the end, she's getting beaten, but she actually holds her own against him. And I guess you could make an argument when they wrote the movie that that's why she has to do the other thing first.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like I really genuinely enjoyed it. Like, I had not watched it since I bought it, but I bought it purely on the strength of the fact that for a fucking sci-fi movie, Scream of the Banshee ain't bad, and the aggression scale surprised the shit out of me. So when I found out he was doing this, I'm like, fuck yeah. I mean, Not that I think the movie needed to be remade, but if you're going to remake it, I mean, at least it's someone with an interesting concept.
I think they did it justice. I fucking love this movie. I do. All the kills are great. I don't care what Chuck says. They're all good. I do like.
I said the kills are good. That's the only thing good I said.
You said
about
they
the
were
movie.
good.
You said
They
some
were
of them.
good.
You said some of them.
I said the kills are good.
It's all right, Chuck. I think Jamie King was great. I think she was good. She was very timid. She went through her struggle, and she came out, per se, a better person.
Audition Lifetime movies. I'm sure she's shooting right now.
Well, maybe she can be in Morbid too.
That's not.
I don't know. I got a little bit of standard, so I don't know. Do I get
Apparently
Jamie
not,
King?
because you keep
Do I
casting
get-
Ryan Grooms in your
Do,
films.
do, I get Jamie King from Sin City? Do I get that Jamie King, or do I get this Jamie King?
I'll take this
Incidentally,
Jamie King.
I should point out my favorite weapon in this movie. It's kind of, I think it's underrated personally. The brass knuckles that say "ho ho ho" on them have got to be
Absolutely.
That's fucking genius.
Those are amazing. But all of the kills in here, none of them are the same. Just chop them up with an axe. Everything is different. Even the Christmas lights are fantastic.
I mean, he likes Jamie King. She was in Escape Plan 2 Hades, and she's in Escape Plan The Extractors. And, she does the mistletoe promise, but I mean, she's also in, well, actually, to be fair, she hasn't done very much in the last decade, but she's still done some things.
I'm a big fan.
Same here.
I'm giving it a 2.
Wow, we really are. I really am having an out-of-body experience this week, aren't I?
Giving it a 2. It falls just above Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4 in the Silent Night, Deadly Night list of good movies, but Part 4 would be the worst, so I put this above 4. But below 3 and 2 and 5, which this makes 5 look like Citizen Kane,
So just to be clear, you're saying this movie is
5
worse than
was
a movie that basically literally has 45 minutes of the footage from the first movie in it.
Yes.
Wasn't 5 the Toy
5
Maker?
is great. 5 is great.
Yeah, 5 is Toy Maker with Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, that one's fantastic.
Yeah, 5 is the second best one behind the first one.
I will absolutely agree with that statement.
Part 4 is what I said was the worst. Part 4 is nearly unwatchable.
And 3 is terrible.
Yeah, but better than this one, in my opinion.
Can't do it.
Nope. I'm going a 4. I have no problem giving it a 4 at all. Like, it's kind of like when I reviewed Vampires vs. Bronx. I was like, well, the ending couldn't have been there. I was fucking nitpicking, and I would be nitpicking here if I said I had a huge ton of issues. The ones I mentioned were my biggest issues. I couldn't even really pick out a lot of stuff I'd cut out, except maybe the bald Santa a little bit. It's 4.
Let's get rid of that character. The character that's in there, Grandpa. Let's get rid of him. Let's get somebody completely different.
I like that he was different.
Well, we need a different.
The one thing I did not like about that scene, and spoiler, they give him like almost a demonic laugh at the end.
Yeah, that was weird.
That part I did not care for, but they recreate the antler scene.
Didn't need it, goddammit.
They recreate the antler scene. I think that's fantastic. I think it worked really well.
I will say, Chuck, if you want to talk about bad acting, let's talk about Tiffany for a second. I will say that the kill is great, but my God, that woman can't act as if she's being speared on fucking antlers. She cannot act for the life of her, basically.
Y'all notice that the nurse is Jessica Cameron, by the way?
She looked familiar, but I didn't notice.
Yep, Jessica Cameron. The chick that was in Truth or Dare, then made a movie called Truth or Dare, which I think brought forth a lawsuit that I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah, didn't see either.
Maybe we'll have to get Tim Ritter on here and let him tell us all about it.
Well, I guess that makes a chain of movies in which we generally legitimately disagree and actually have a discussion. We gotta be careful about that. We don't want to make a trend here or anything.
I've liked this movie since it came out. When you said, let's just do the remake, I was totally cool with that because I wanted to see it again anyway.
I have not seen it, and I knew it was. I wanted to see it because, like I said, you got to understand. Aggression Scale made my top movies of that year when it came out. It
Aggression
was
Scale was
really
fun.
good. And so I'm like, if he's doing this, like, I can buy into that. So
Now, unless Scream Factory decides to throw this thing a bone, I don't think you're ever going to see it released again, because this is the old Anchor Bay.
You know, funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about that. And we'll get into this in a minute with a news story. But we have a very selective memory as horror fans sometimes. Not we, but like the union of horror fans do. Like, Chuck, you watched your Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
When you watch your Blu-rays, do you always watch the trailers that come on before stuff?
No, I usually skip them.
I actually kind of like to watch them just because sometimes I've forgotten what's popular at the time, and I'm curious what
Well,
they're really
I
pushing.
I used to watch them, but I skipped it last time.
But this one has trailers for. I'm gonna see if you remember them as I say them. The Barrows.
Yeah.
The
That Darren.
the Darren Lynn Bousman one with the guy from True Blood. Yeah. And then he had another movie he made. I forget which one it was, but that was also being advertised on this. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Was it
was
Repo, the Genetic Opera?
no, because people actually remember that one.
I was gonna say, because they were out around the same time.
Yeah, they were, but yeah, it was around the time. But it was. I can tell you in a second because it's not a huge filmography we're talking about here. Oh yeah, Mother's Day. Obviously,
The Mother's Day remake, yeah.
I like Mother's Day.
Yeah, that one's. But there's the other one. Remember the WWE film The Day?
No.
Yeah, with what's her name? Ashley Lynch from The Last Exorcism, and I think Dominic Monaghan.
The only WWE horror film I remember from around that time, wasn't there like Nobody Lives or something like that?
No One Lives.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It was by Ryuhei Kitamura, if I think, or am I right
Yes.
or wrong?
Yeah,
you
were right.
Yeah, I remember. I have that movie because the trailer looked interesting to me, and I heard good things. But when was the last time you heard of that fucking movie? And
never, because I've never heard of it.
We all remember the Barrens, hearing
The
hearing
Barrens.
of it.
It's a Jersey Devil movie.
Yeah. When was the last time you heard someone mention it? Like, and and those movies were pushed like hell the year they came out because of Darren Lynn Bousman.
The only reason I've even thought about that movie recently was he made a movie called Death of Me recently, and when I went to read about it and found out he was the director, I remember seeing the title for it and remembered he actually made it. So,
yeah,
on the commentary of it,
Dominic Monaghan was in that? Was in a WWE movie?
Yeah, the cast is actually really weird. It's one of the reasons I was kind of interested in it. Yeah. It was
Brodus Clay's in it.
Sean, yeah, that's the WWE connection. Brodus Clay is in it. Yes.
Is Wade Barrett
actually, wait, no, not Dominic Monaghan. Excuse me, I always confuse. No, yeah, he is. Dominic Monaghan, as well as and not Ashley Lynch, Ashley Bell from Last Exorcism. Sean Ashmore is also in it. Shannon Sossaman. For a WWE film, it's kind of stacked, actually. But yeah, like it's. I don't know what name Brodus Clay is actually going under in this movie, but I know he's in it.
Do you know Dominic Monaghan has a spider named after him?
Wouldn't surprise me. Lost related?
No, he's actually got his own. Well, he had his own show for a couple of seasons called Dom's Wild Things.
I've seen it. I've seen it. It's actually a really good show.
It's a great show. He discovered a cave spider that's never been seen before, and the scientists named it after him. Cool. He's also a huge Manchester United fan.
All comes back.
Most things do.
As always. But yeah, like I was thinking about that because I'm just like, it is legitimately 8 years on since those 3 movies came out and were getting advertised heavily online, and that's kind of why I do that. Is these Blu-rays are time capsules, man. Particularly when they like put shit before the movie. Especially when it's something like one company releases a movie and they never release anything else good. So you get some weird ass trailers on there that you've never fucking heard of. Basically.
I like going back and watching those old Lionsgate DVDs and stuff from like the early 2000s, seeing what commercials they got.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is like everybody's all, oh, this is the best movie, this, that. You are probably not going to remember half the shit that's on your top 10 list. Not us, but like most of the people who like make lists that are like the top 20 horror movies of 2020, they will forget like 10 of the movies on their top 20 in 2 years. And it's just sad in some ways. Just a mild rant.
Offhand, I don't even remember what I picked as the best movie last year.
Yeah, it's. Well, I mean, are we done discussing Silent Night? Because if we are, I mean, I could use that as a segue.
Go ahead.
Because our first story is that W alerted me to the cover art for Host, which I'm literally, as I say this, going to tweet a draft I wrote earlier today about this. But the cover of Host says, and I quote, "the scariest film of the past decade." And that's a quote from Dread Central of a review that's
the
the
past
title.
decade.
Decade.
It just come out this decade, right?
They're claiming now saying it that way. The past decade. They're saying the last 10 years. I'm gonna be generous and assume they included 2010. He probably meant the last 10 years. I'm gonna assume they included 2010. He's saying the Host is better than every horror movie that came out of the last decade. And the thing is, I got curious. I went back and read the review, and not only is it that he said that, it's the title of the review, and the first line of the review talks about the dangers of hype.
Now, did he say it was the best, or did he say it was the scariest?
I believe the quote, scariest. You're correct, scariest. So then, even then, still, maybe not best, says it's scarier than every movie that's been made in the last 10 years.
I don't know about it.
To which my tweet that I'm about to write says, and I quote, "Midsummer, Get Out, Black Swan, Train to Busan, I Saw the Devil, The Babadook, Hereditary, A Quiet Place, Kill List, You're Next, Goodnight Mommy, Autopsy of Jane Doe, Conjuring, The Loved Ones, Us, The Invisible Man. I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me." And then a picture of the cover. And I only just picked the ones that are like kind of mainstream, because like you could go deeper. You know, you could go into stuff that most people who are outside of the horror community wouldn't.
Did you include It Follows in that?
I did not, partially because I haven't seen it, and partially because I was running out of characters.
I'm shocked you haven't seen that.
I have my own things with that movie. I've yet to move past my feelings about the premise. Honestly, I really think the premise is stupid, and that's just me.
Similar
I admit it's my own thing.
There was a movie that came out with the 8 Films to Die For years ago that was somewhat similar. Not quite, but a little bit.
You mean It Follows? Similar to It Follows, or similar to Host?
Yeah, similar to It Follows.
Not surprising.
But as far as Host goes, I'm thinking it's going to be a burn on demand Blu-ray.
Probably.
It's what it's worth.
Yeah, because usually, like, which is odd though, you think like the scariest thing in the past 10 years we get like a press disc, but they're not sending it out to reviewers, which is odd, because 9 times out of 10 these are, these Shudder movies get sent out to people from RLJ. So it's odd that it's not getting sent out.
And I want to be clear. I know that not everybody agrees with me when I say this. I don't think Host is a bad movie. I think Host is fine. Host is perfectly fine.
You get past the fact it's only 45 minutes long because they were too cheap to buy the.
Yeah, let's not go into the fact that calling it the scariest film of the year is probably a lie in and of itself, because probably it's if he wanted to be truthful in terms of his description, he probably should have tried to call it, and even possibly then still would have been wrong, the scariest short film of the last decade.
Even then, it's still a lie, because there's the only scary part about it is that people liked it.
But anyway, I can name a scarier, not a better at least. I don't know if I can name a scarier in a lot of short films. I can definitely name a better one, and it's Christmas related. So go online and look up Treevenge if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, so I would say Treevenge is like the greatest short film ever made.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And I don't like short films.
There's your Christmas recommendation. Go watch Treevenge, where the Christmas trees take revenge on us all for cutting them down every year.
Unless you throw it in an anthology, I can't be bothered to watch most short films.
Can't be bothered. God damn.
Like peeing in the ocean.
That's a euphemism.
There's so many short films all the time.
But moving past that, because I've mostly kind of simmered down a bit on Host, but when you told me that today, it reminded me just how bad the hype is. And the fact that actually, I'm going to check real quick because you mentioned it. I do want to check something about that since you mentioned that. Okay. They at least didn't make that quote the exact same font size as the title of the fucking movie. I'll give them that.
Pretty close,
It's
though.
close. But it reminded me of how bad the hype is on that. And I legitimately want to see, this is kind of why I said it's a segue, I want to see how fast people forget Host.
I forget it until you bring it up every week.
It's making people, I'm not going to be bringing it up much more. It's making people's lists. Like, of course, I had to check because the guy who wrote that review actually did put his top 10 films of 2020 on their, and I just checked for shits and giggles. Of course, it is number one, but I would have busted my ass laughing if it hadn't been.
Well, what else is on?
Oh, fuck, I gotta look it up now. It's mostly actually stuff you haven't heard of. And I don't mean like you haven't heard of, I mean like things most people haven't heard of. Non-theatrical things, non-big name things. It's, here we go. This was written, let's see, that's not it. That's actually Marcos Kodos. So that's not the right one. Jerry Smith. For the record, yes, that is his name. Here we go. His top 10 horror movies of 2020 were The Lodge. I can buy that. That's 10 for the record. This is in order. The Beach House.
It's all right.
Bit.
Haven't seen it.
Any reference? Underwater.
I haven't seen it, but I know what he's talking about. So. That's got Kristen Stewart in it, I think.
Yes, it does. Yep. Scare Me.
Don't ring a bell.
It's on Shudder, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Did we
Dark,
watch it?
No, we did not watch it.
The Wicked. Nope. The Dark and the Wicked.
I hated The Dark and the Wicked.
Oh, it's the director of The Strangers. Well, I know I'm going to love it. Oh, I hate The Strangers.
I hated this movie. It's boring and it's trying to be, elevated for.
The Boulet Brothers Dragula Resurrection.
No clue what
also on
Shudder.
Apparently, according to this, they took a series they do called Dragula and made it into a 2-hour spin-off film.
2 hours.
That's what that was.
2 hours.
Chuck really likes Chuck really likes really short films and really long films. If you guys haven't noticed,
I know, right?
That's that's his zone.
Give me about 70 minutes, 80 minutes, and we're good to go. 90's great.
Number 3 is Alone. It says it's a remake of a 2011 film called Forsvunnen, aka Gone.
I don't think I've seen any of them.
Number 2 is probably the most well-known movie on this list outside of Host, which is Gretel and Hansel.
I hated that movie too.
My buddy Matt got a quote on the poster of that.
He says that the director of it, Osgood Perkins, also directed what he calls one of his top 10 favorite films of all time, which is The Black Coat's Daughter. I don't know anything about that one.
So freaking good.
But I had a feeling that, that's the thing. Like when you get up into this area, I'm not surprised. They probably are pretty good. That's aside of number 1, which is Host. That is probably the most well-known thing on his list.
I didn't like
listen. James, The Black Coat's Daughter is on my Vudu, and when you got about an hour and a half to kill, and you want something that's a fucking slow burn that just turns on its fucking head at like 80% through the film, please watch The Black Coat's Daughter.
I'll get to it. I'm planning to watch. Not like immediately. What I'm saying is I'm planning to watch like a lot of stuff on Shudder that we haven't reviewed. Like not a ton, but like I have a life. But like I want to watch Yummy. I've been wanting to watch Yummy on the show for the show, but we haven't gotten around to it. So I kind of want to give that a shot and some other stuff that Shudder has on it. I can definitely probably fit that in at some point before we do our year-end stuff. Yeah. But just to say, by the way, you mentioned I didn't say, It Follows. Yeah, I also didn't mention Witching and Bitching. I didn't mention,
Witching and Bitching is good.
I think I saw the Devil on there, but I don't think I saw the Devil, or I may have had that on there. there were a lot of things that are like really not that well known outside of the horror community. I didn't put them on there because my intention was to point out these are like the names you know, basically. Like the movies that have already come out that everybody knows about that are all, and to not only say that as the title of your movie, then say hype is a dangerous thing, and then proceed to go, wow, this is doing the same thing Blair Witch Project did. Oh my God. That takes some serious balls.
Yeah, I watched Possessor about an hour before the show started tonight.
And?
I bet W would love to right now.
It's good.
Is it in your Voodoo account?
No, I don't have Voodoo code with it. It's Bogo USA put it out.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's kind of, they never do that. They never do this.
But
my copy's not shipping until like fucking January.
Walmart's got this for like $14, but I don't know if their version is uncut or not, because it says it's uncut. I don't know if all of them's uncut or not. But
Walmart's calmed down on that shit a lot lately.
It's good. Calling it a horror film is a little bit of a stretch. I mean, it's definitely sci-fi, but it's I don't know. I mean, you can put it on your horror list if you want to. It's got tons of blood. It's got a lot of violence.
That's David Cronenberg's son, right?
Yeah. Yep, Brandon Cronenberg.
Lot of violence. A lot of other weird things I don't want to say since you've not watched it. But I mean, do you understand the plot of it?
I mean, hell, Antiviral was out in 2012. That's also something I could have mentioned.
That's only 2 full movies he's done. Is Antiviral and this.
Antiviral's good.
I've watched I think I watched Antiviral. I know I was going to watch it, but I don't know if I ever got around to it or not. You can tell this is David Cronenberg's son, though. Right down to him casting, what's old chick from The Hateful Eight that was in Extends back in the day? Jennifer Jason Lee or whatever?
Check Existence.
What?
Extends was a boner pill.
Oh. Well,
he's close to needing that.
Yeah. I don't like her as an actor, though.
I'm sorry, if you leave me that wide open, Chuck, I'm going to take that shot every time.
Oh, yeah. Now, she's not the main lead. The main lead is the girl that played the Nicolas Cage's wife in Mandy, if you remember that movie.
Also one I could have mentioned that I didn't mention.
Mandy's slow as hell, boys. Slow as hell.
Wait till you watch The Blackcoat's Daughter.
Oh, God. But it's only 90 minutes. How slow can you be in 90 minutes?
I think it's about 90 minutes. I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but it's stuck with me, man.
Never got to see that one.
It's I will say the actress that I can't think of her name, but that plays Sabrina in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. The Blackcoat's Daughter is probably her first brush with Satan.
Oh. So what's our overall opinion on the Wrong Turn trailer?
That was going to be the next thing. I haven't watched it either. Tell us what you think of it. I saw you post it.
Poster's awesome.
I wasn't that impressed with
it.
It's a good poster. Matt liked it. It just shows a bunch of people scared in the woods. And
does it take place in West Virginia again?
Well, I assume. I don't know. I mean, it's like there's a bunch of people scared in the woods, and then one part of the trailer is this gigantic tree that's like cut down and just starts rolling toward them. Stuff like that. And it looked like from the trailer that there's a couple scenes that indicate that maybe the hillbillies go back to the city with them or something. I don't know.
So if this was trying to be West Virginia, at this point in life, you would have people in red hats running at you with guns.
What? So, weird thing. The poster you posted earlier today, on IMDb, Wrong Turn for 2021, I don't know if this is going to come through on this is what I'm seeing. Let's see if it comes through. It says Wrong Turn, big picture of a deer head, and The Foundation, which makes me wonder if it was ever supposed to be a Wrong Turn remake at all.
I'm betting somebody's just being killed in the woods. I bet it ain't even hillbillies this time.
The Foundation would make it sound like a beginning or prequel.
Yeah,
inbred hillbillies.
It's a reboot. It says
it's something that's happening, and there's like I don't know if we can be able to sell this movie. Well, let's slap the word Wrong Turn on it and see if we can't get somebody to buy it.
And they're hiking the Appalachian Trail, so probably.
It's Indians? Native American?
Cut yourself that time. I said the Appalachian Trail. They're hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Oh,
Well,
To
that could be any.
which
I mean, that could be any state.
I know. I know it does, but yeah. But so there's as close as I can tell you about whether or not it's taking place there. It was filmed in Germany, so. Or no, sorry, it was filmed in Ohio. Yeah. Yeah, I have minimal experience with the Wrong Turn franchise. I mean,
I watched half of the franchise, and I had to take a break.
I like Wrong Turn
because
2.
you got to. I thought you mentioned in the group chat when you said that no matter what happens, it will probably be better than 3 through 6. Are you telling me you have not seen 4 through 6? If that's the case.
I didn't say that. Matt said that.
Oh, he said okay. I missed that's my fault.
I like part 1 and 2's okay. Three like a sci-fi channel movie to me.
Otherwise, some other stuff. Screen Archive announced that they picked up the rights to the Twilight Time name today and yesterday, I should say, as we record this. And so they are going to continue releasing stuff from that company that went under earlier this year. Announced their first 2 new titles will be Man from Hong Kong, which it's got George Lazenby in it. If I'm not mistaken, it's kind of Bruce exploitation-y, kind of not. And also a movie called Venom, which is also known as The Legend of Spider Forest. I don't know much of anything about them, but Twilight Time's back and still doing limited editions. So that's a thing. Arrow's announcing something new soon. This Friday as we're doing it. It's already, some people have already seen postcards in their stuff that they're going to do Legend. So that piece of the predictions from that list someone saw, they probably are right that they're going to do Legend in 4K. I'm seeing some people claiming things like Wanted, or like most of what I'm seeing is no real like consensus, so who knows on that one. Scorpion is getting ready to do a release via Kino distribution of the Argento movie Sleepless, which gives hope that Scorpion's going to license a bunch of the stuff that they gave to Ronin, that Ronin Flicks put out, to Kino, which would mean in the future you might see Blu-rays of Opera, Card Player, The Church, The Sect. Those were all ones that Ronin did their like 3-disc versions of.
You can still get
like
those.
that. Oh yeah, I know, but I'm saying like the Sleepless that Kino's distributing is going to have an audio commentary, 5 interviews. You know, they're giving them a fairly decent treatment, basically.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. How many copies of Sleepless do I need?
That presumes that you have more than one. I only have one, so like in my case, I can replace mine. But
I've only got the old Arrow DVD.
that's what I'm saying. I have that. I think. Yeah, like you may not need one, but
When that one comes out, guess how many I'll have?
Yeah, I say to be fair, when you're asking the question, usually the answer is as many as they come out, basically. I mean, after all, W, how many copies of Zombie and Voodoo do you need?
More than Chuck.
No, I didn't get the foreign ones. I just got the normal ones.
In tangentially horror related stuff. Otherwise, Kino's also doing via Code Red Blu-rays of a couple stuff from horror related directors. Lamberto Bava's Blast Fighter. It's one of that time frame when everybody in Italy was trying to make really weird 80s action movies. So it's got George Eastman in it, because of course it does.
Absolutely.
And then speaking of things that are from Italian directors that also have George Eastman in it, they're also doing Umberto Lenzi's Iron Master, which appears to be one of that wonderful trend of 80s Italian sword and sorcery movies. Le Chat qui Fume, which is a French, I don't even know if they're French, but their name is French. Blu-ray company is doing a release of Possession. That's coming up. That's about the major stuff to my knowledge. I mean, I think there's a part of me that thinks that Scream Factory announced they're doing Raw. A couple things that had older, already existing releases are getting new Blu-rays from Scream Factory because IFC type stuff, basically. And Chuck mentioned, I think last week, that all of the RLJE Shudder stuff's getting ready to start coming out, or a week before.
I got a whole email about like 4 or 5 IFC Midnight movies coming to Blu-ray from Screen Factory, but Raw was not included in the.
It was a recent announcement.
Yeah.
They are not. They didn't. They hadn't announced it as of yet. At the time, you probably got that email because they announced that 2 days ago.
Which Raw's a good movie. I like Raw.
They announced Raw, Rent-A-Pal, the rental. Some of these already might be out. I think they're also really heavily pushing Deathcember. I don't know if any of us have seen it yet. That's been making the festival plays and stuff.
Well, I got my Friday 13th replacement disc.
Yes, you did, without even a shipping confirmation.
No notice, no shipping confirmation, no notice, no anything. And apparently, I got it before a lot of people that's been sitting there watching their disc be on a pre-ship thing for a long time.
Well, as we all know, Chuck, you've got connections.
I did use my connections. They investigated, but I was told there really wasn't much they could do besides just they give me an email to complain if I didn't get it soon. But I got it soon, so.
As we're recording this, I should be getting my Severin stuff on Friday. W will be getting his Vinegar Syndrome stuff before he ever gets his Severin stuff because it's hovering in the ether around Arizona right now.
Well, it's one time of year.
We are in a fucking blizzard right now, and my Vinegar Syndrome stuff is supposed to be in tomorrow, and I'm just like, fuck, I hope the mail runs.
Yeah.
I also got my 4K Psycho replacement disc.
What was wrong with that?
Not sure, but there was something wrong with it. I couldn't tell anything's wrong with it. I mean, usually it's just something.
Go ahead.
It's usually something minor, but you know.
That reminds me, I didn't mention this, and W will have to deal with this when the time comes, but Vinegar Syndrome announced they were alerted to an issue with, I believe, the second disc of their Beastmaster.
Second Blu-ray disc.
Second Blu-ray disc of their Beastmaster 4K. And they basically, unlike, let's say, another company, Screen Factory.
What's wrong with it?
I don't even think they actually said what it was, honestly.
I have no idea.
I'll double check the post they made.
Well, in case you don't send that to me, Beard, you can send that to me, your defective disc.
Yeah, they legitimately.
You want the second Blu-ray disc?
Does it have the movie on it?
I highly doubt it, since it's the second Blu-ray disc with a 4K set.
Yeah, it's probably just special features.
Oh, never mind.
I'll send it to you. No, I got you, man. I got you.
I thought it had the movie on it.
He'll take one of your random things that cost a hell of a lot of money instead. The quote from their post is, "We regret to inform everyone that Blu-ray number 2 of the Beastmaster had a manufacturing-related issue. The Ultra HD and Blu-ray number 1 are fine. Our replicator has repressed the affected Blu-ray disc, and beginning tomorrow, all Black Friday order shipments will contain the fixed disc. Beginning tomorrow, as we record this, customers that received the faulty Blu-ray disc will be sent a replacement disc automatically." There's a concept.
Now, it is easier for them because they're the only people that can sell it.
Yes, they have a lot of control over their stuff as well. Replacement discs will begin shipping out late December. There is no need to contact them, and they are putting additional steps in place with their replicator to prevent this issue from hopefully happening again in the future. But they basically announced it and in the same breath said, "We're fixing it. You don't need to ask us anything about it. You're good," which is a far cry from how a lot of other companies handle this kind of thing.
That's true.
Well, you know, Severin, starting with their 4Ks that they're putting out.
Thank you. I didn't mention that yet. Go ahead.
This is going to be, they're switching distributors. They're switching from CAV to MVD. Apparently this had to do with the fact that I think Synapsis is doing the same thing because CAV doesn't want to make 4K discs, but MVD is.
Oh, they're losing money then. But since you mentioned it, I forgot to mention that. That's on me, because that's probably the biggest release news of the last week. Severin finally announced the promised big announcement for the middle of the month. I will point out I have not listened to the podcast episode they did that was about these releases, where they said supposedly they would say why they announced these before their February stuff, because this is all coming out in March. My assumption is their February stuff is going to be the standard edition versions of the Black Friday stuff, which is now all available for pre-order on their website, alongside all the Black Friday stuff that they said was limited to Black Friday, but is all still on their website available for
Because they didn't
purchase.
sell any of it.
Or not enough. Yeah. But anyway, they announced the small stuff would be Nosferatu in Venice. It's Werner Herzog. It's got Klaus Kinski in it.
It's an unofficial sequel to Nosferatu.
Yes. Also has Donald Pleasence and Christopher Plummer in it. But they're doing a Blu-ray of that with a feature-length documentary called Creation is Violent, Anecdotes from Kinski's Final Years documentary, plus additional interviews. They also announced a movie called A Scream in the Streets. It's from 1973 and by a producer called Harry Novak, who also did their release of Axe way back when.
Scream in the Streets looks awesome.
It says it's got a too hot for retailers slipcase option. Also has as bonus feature, they call it The Peeper, and it says 2 sexy shorts produced from A Scream in the Streets outtakes. But yeah, it says here, I'm going to read it off real quick. Still startling sicky about a pair of LAPD detectives hunting a transvestite psychopath through a polyester jungle of massage parlor perverts, suburban sex fiends, violence-crazed cops, and, quote, one of the worst examples of cross-dressing ever filmed, unquote. Scanned uncut in 2K from the original negative with special features from Something Weird from 1973. But the big news is that, as Chuck just mentioned, they are taking their first steps into the world of 4K Ultra HD with releases everybody knew was coming, even then though, fuck yes, because it's Alex de la Iglesia and it's the Day of the Beast and Perdita Durango, which, I mean, they both look great in terms of their trailers. They're both, Day of the Beast has been like on Rue Morgue's like alternative horror lists for God knows how long.
I've been wanting to see it for a long time.
I'm very interested too.
I already pre-ordered them both.
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it. I get it; it's self-indulgent of them, but I really feel they could have I know why they did what they did on Black Friday, because they like to release like 6, 7, 8 movies at once on Black Friday. So they did their whole Theater Bazaar thing and had Theater Bazaar and then 5 movies from people. I get it, but I feel like this slate would have gotten a heck of a lot more play as a slate of movies.
I have the February releases here.
Do you?
It is.
Has this been released?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got it yesterday.
I'm saying, like, has it been like publicly released? I'm saying, like, is this?
Oh, I guess. I don't know.
Go ahead.
But it's the Attic Expeditions on
Thank
Blu-ray.
You. Yeah.
It is Castle of the Creeping Flesh.
Yeah.
And Plague Town.
So in other words, as I mentioned, it's the standard edition Blu-rays of the stuff from Black Friday, which are
where is Theater Bazaar and all that though?
I would imagine maybe January, because they're also up for pre-order.
Maybe. I had January, but I already deleted January, so I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. I'm on the automatic list. I don't have to worry about it.
Oh, also, it should be pointed out, there's a pre-order up on Amazon. It's undated, and a pre-order up, I think, on DiabolikDVD right now, undated as well. It appears that, as happened with the Amityville Cursed Collection, when it went out of print, Vinegar Syndrome put all the movies out on separate Blu-rays, and it's looking a lot like they're going to make a non-boxed version of the first Forgotten Jally, and that'll come up within like the next few months probably.
The only difference is they won't have the box, right?
Right, and the cover, which the box itself from the pictures looks great. The cover of the new one is basically a lot of the cover of the box, except on the bottom of it, there's a big like yellow thing, and then it says the names of the 3 films on it. So it doesn't look quite as good as the box does, but I mean, it still serves the purpose.
There it is.
So yeah, news.
Yeah. Also happy to report Door 1 finally sold out at SRS. The Blu-ray is no longer available.
So get to flipping on eBay, folks.
I hate talking about my movies every episode.
We actually have news this time.
We didn't have news last time. I sped through like 15 minutes of it.
He means about his
I mean,
movies.
Yeah, you already brought my movies up already.
All right. Well, that was Christmas.
It is ho ho. Hopefully your stimulus check comes. You can buy all the stuff you want.
Then James' wife can say, "Shut up, Chuck," again.
You can buy you some cookies.
Yes,
Christmas cookies.
yes. Actual fact. Last episode, I think we made a remark at some point during the episode that we just hadn't said it very often. And then we were watching the episode.
She was underselling me because apparently I'm right. Everybody thought I was just talking out my ass, and that it ain't gonna be no stimulus check.
No, she wasn't underselling you. It was the part where you started talking about Indians and the Cleveland Indians baseball team, which, for the record, as a backstory on that,
are no longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say
next
a few days
day
after we recorded that
Well,
episode.
they're gonna be the Cleveland baseball team.
They might
can't
be.
Think
hey,
of another. They can't think of another name.
Hey, the Washington football team is winning their division.
Here's my problem. Everybody is.
Well, and here's the thing: that division fucking sucks.
Yes, it does.
I'm the most unracist person in the history of unracist people. I'm not a racist person, but while
the fact that you got the fact that you have to tell the whole world that is sad.
I want that.
I just want to say it. Now the logo, obviously the logo is offensive. You can say that Indian is offensive, but I don't know if the name is offensive. You know what I mean? Just Indian.
You know what? I think we're far enough into this episode. We don't need to do this. So.
Well, I mean, what
that
Cowboys and Indians.
That was the kind way of saying "shut up, Chuck."
I just don't. I mean, I just don't. I never was told that was a derogatory term.
Because when we were kids, it wasn't.
Yeah. So what are we selling now? Cowboys and Native Americans? Is that what the little toys are going to be called now?
Yeah, they're really weren't any Cowboys.
Kids nowadays, and not to mention, do you really think nowadays, in the world of small black screens and Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite, do you really think people are actually playing that anymore?
We still buy the big tub of Army Men.
Do they though? Do they? I know you can.
Oh,
my kid plays with Army Men.
Yeah, see there.
But Army Men are not cowboys.
No, Army Men will be offensive in 20 years.
And with that prediction.
One final shut up, Chuck.
What about
everybody?
League?
Thanks for watching.
What about Major League?
Like, share, subscribe. See you next week with some porno.
Real quick, before we do that, one thing I will point out: we didn't say this about Silent Night remake. There was one other thing about it that I found kind of funny, and it's movies need to stop doing this. Stop fucking dating yourselves. Malcolm McDowell mentions Glee and American Idol, and
is American Idol still on?
No one. I don't even think it is, and no one cares if it is.
It was supposed to come back.
No one cares if it is. What I'm saying is, like, there's a few moments in the early going, in like the middle of the movie, where just for no reason whatsoever, people mention like references that would be relevant in 2012. Stop fucking dating your movies, people.
Yeah, be like Tarantino and mention stuff that's 30, 40 years old when the movie comes.
Hey, at least you're not dated then, unless you're intentionally dated. Sorry, I wouldn't have mentioned that, but since Chuck decided to mention Major League and the fact that movie now might become dated soon.
They're going to take it off the shelf like Gone with the Wind, right?
They put that back.
Did they?
I thought they did. They were supposed to put it back with like a disclaimer.
I've seen that film. They should take it back off.
It's very long.
Yes, it is. They all were back then. And with that, like, share, and subscribe. Yeah.